There we are. Good evening. I didn't give nearly enough time for people to arrive. That's perfectly acceptable. Good evening. If you are new here, hello. My name is Brenna. I am your certified cute as a doll in a horror movie DM, and welcome. Oh gosh, I hope sound's picking up. And welcome to Tales from the Catacombs, which is our Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop RPG adventure evening. We play tabletop RPGs with our friends here, some of whom you may recognize, and we'll get a fun introduction going shortly. But we play tabletop adventures in the evenings. Tonight's adventure happens to be the Dungeons and Dragons system. Some people may not know this, but believe it or not, there are, in fact, other systems than Dungeons and Dragons. I know, it's weird, but it exists. We just happen to be using Dungeons and Dragons tonight. If you want some suggestions on other systems, let me know. Hey, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate that. Thank you. But tonight's adventure is going to be using Dungeons and Dragons. I'm very excited to get started, and we are a little bit delayed because tech, period, the end. That's the whole tweet. So we're going to figure out all those things out. This is going to be a really fun, messy adventure, streaming our tabletop game, and I look forward to you guys getting to enjoy that with us. Until we get to all that, first things first, insert an intro here. We don't have an intro tonight. It's okay, but there will be one. I'm really excited. I worked on it. It's going to be excellent, and that's precisely where it goes on a YouTube video. Also, we don't have all the time in the world, so we're just going to chill. Hello, everyone joining us in chat today. Zombie Queen Christine, hello, welcome in. I see Yuha there in chat. Bob Tells Tales, hello, Bob. Welcome in, welcome in. I'm here. The stream can now start. I wish you were here 25 minutes ago. The stream could have started. I will say in advance, I'm sorry if I don't keep an eye on chat super close. I will try to, but we do have a game that we are getting through. In the future, we will have moderators who will help us chit-chat with you guys because there will be fun ways that chat can interact with us. I'm very excited for that too. You guys will have a direct hand of fate in our games. But until we get that going, I hope you guys sit back, relax, enjoy the game tonight. So this is a homebrew world. It is based on the lore of the rock musical called Razia's Shadow by Forgive Durden. It's excellent. If you haven't heard it yourself, highly recommend it. It's a very fun musical, and you get a little extra background lore. I'm going to quickly introduce our players so you know who is playing with us tonight, and very quickly, like a 2-sentence intro, and then we'll give you a recap of our session 0, which leads us to what's happening tonight. And the last thing I will say is that if you do want to see a little more about the homebrew world, I have a link for you. Take a look at that document. It's a very quick read, and you will get all the information that even our players started with. Because it's homebrew, it's going to be a little unique. The too long didn't read is that we are in a world that is literally divided into the light and the dark. There's been a millennium-long war over it, and the world is nothing like it was once upon a time. So our players are living in this world, making their way, trying to regain the world for the light, if that is so their destiny or their choice. And we're situated in one of the continents that has been mostly reclaimed, but there are always territories that can always be taken back from the darkness. So real quick, who I am. Hi, I'm Brenna. This is my stream, but I shared with all of you telling stories. I am an author, and I dabble in other fun creative endeavors that I share on the stream. We stream 3 times a week, and this is our newest show that I'm very excited about, and I thank you guys for being here. We'll go around the circle. Let's go clockwise. So we have You Hate to See It, David, who's playing Beau. Tell us a little bit about you and about a quick little bit about Beau.
So I'm Yuha, David, as she said. I do stream on Twitch, and I don't know how much more needs to be said about me because I'm not very interesting. My
Womp.
the character that I'm playing though is Beau. Is there a command for that now?
There is Command RS Beau, Beau.
Yeah. There you go. So the command: I'm a soul knife rogue who is adopted by farmers, and I don't know much about myself. Um, and I don't like bloody things, unlike what our bard thought I would like when we did session 0. So yeah, that's Beau.
All right. Kassie, what you got for us?
I'm Kassie. I'm a teacher. This is my first time doing any of this kind of Twitch streaming and playing Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm excited. I'm playing Viola. She is a fighter. Her weapons of choice is her 2 short swords. She loves gold. She loves to be eccentric and out there, loves to make friends, and she's kind of traveling around trying to build her resume as she tries to become a purger.
Excellent. And we have Josh.
Hello, I'm Josh. I am a philosophy major. I'm going to graduate in May, and I am playing Snow, the half-elf bard who is just here to bring a little bit more wonder to the world.
Love it. And last but certainly not least,
Hi, I'm Catherine, or a Catholic geek. I'm a big-time D&D nerd, Catholic nerd, basically any kind of nerdiness. And I'm playing Ste'yn, a Grave Domain cleric who takes Memento Mori kind of literally, and her favorite color is black.
I love it. Well, we will get to know more about our characters rather. The players, like David said, they're not very interesting, but the characters are fantastic. So let me give you a quick recap as to what happened when we were not meeting live on Twitch. We had our session 0, which I wasn't sure was originally going to be canon, and then it happened, and we were like, there's no way this is not canon. So let me catch you guys up. So, from session 0, a perfect disaster. The story that is about to unfold before you is not one that is told alone, but this particular chapter of a long tale begins in the town of Hazelford, in the southeastern region of the Kingdom of Yerusha. 4 wanderers found themselves in search of a similar and simple end: coin. Beau, a rogue with quick hands and watchful eyes always over his shoulder. Ste'yn, a mysterious cleric treading the line between life and death. Viola, a fighter weighed down by the burdens and promises of noblesse oblige. And Snow, a traveling bard bringing joy to a world that threatens it. Hazelford's job boards were scarce, but they happened across a single remaining request tacked to the board in a bustling tavern. It was certainly touched by numerous hands, but no one took it before these 4 unpinned it from the wall. Snickers wouldn't deter them, and they set out to meet their client, an eccentric tabaxi named Perula Jade. She's the aunt of one of the most famous seamstresses in the capital city of Zayli. It took time for her renown to dawn on the group, but not for her eccentricity to make them wary of why she needed escort back to the capital. And what was she doing in such a dangerous place, so near the outskirts of the unclaimed lands? This question was quickly answered when Perula explained that bandits had attacked and robbed her of some of the material she needed to bring back to her niece. She was willing to get escort through dangerous areas. Oh my, oh my! That was very loud. Thank you very much for the raid. Tony but different, thank you. She was willing to get escort through dangerous areas if it meant finding the finest materials. The party agreed to help her retrieve what was stolen, and soon regretted it when they discovered the maimed corpses of the bandits in question. A clan of bullywugs attacked the new intruders, hoping to keep more fine goods for themselves, but they were quickly overtaken by the deft strikes of Beau and Viola. The party found a few goods among the remains and then took the time to escort Perula all the way back to the capital city, or at least to get her a chariot thus far. They were promised that in some 2 to 4 months' time, they would receive additional compensation by way of personalized attire worth tens of gold pieces. They were also told that if they were in need of coin, and with the skills they showed, rumor had it that openings would be available soon at a Guardianship township. So you guys mentioned you didn't necessarily all stay together after leaving Perula Jade, her getting her way up to back up to Zaylee. But at long last, you guys are making your way to the rumored opportunity that you were told about. So, as summer winds down and autumn breezes seize the land of Onidra, which is the continent you are on, 4 adventurers hear word among the various job boards in the region that a guardianship town is growing and is in need of hands. That's you guys. Room and board is included for those who can face the challenges of this lifestyle, which means abounding work and consistent pay. But most importantly, as the boards advertised, this is the chance to take a stand where others may cower, to stride in the footsteps of heroes past, to brand this territory clean from the stain of darkness. All capital, all bold. So on this day that you 4 arrive, it isn't to the same burbling and tumult of a typical busy town like Hazelford when you last were all together. Before you even reach the stone walls of this township, you hear multiple tolling bells, not dangerous sounding, but tolling bells, welcoming, loud vocal exchanges, the heavy scent of many bodies gathered and waiting anxiously. 2 haphazard lines form at the northwestern gate. They're filled with all manner of beings from across Onidra. There are large, hulking sorts like half-orcs and stalwart dwarven adventurers. Mixed in are some smaller, mouthy types in long travel robes, making notations in personal grimoires or spouting about deep studies. Each one stopped in front of one of 4 figures in half plate armor for about 30 seconds before being shooed inside. And in time, each one of you reach the head of your line and are finally beckoned towards one of the stationed guards. Beau, you approach the front of the line. You approach this line, you stand in front of one of these guards. You simply receive a grunt of name.
Just first name or last name?
Name.
About
Age.
33.
All right. My apologies. He had asked you occupation.
Oh, occupation? I mean, I don't really have a job right now.
Mm-hmm. Skills.
I can throw knives. Does that count?
He
Or some farming as well.
He looks you up and down. Head southeast to the novice hut. And he shoos you along.
What does it look like?
Follow the group. And you do see in front
okay.
of you, of all the people who were standing in front of you, they're just like making their way through the gate.
I will join them, I suppose. This guy's not very nice.
As you are heading and following the crowd, you do happen to notice this human male. He seemed to be particularly decked out, which is kind of what catches your eye, including this very nice pair of gloves. He seems to be adjusting on his hands and kind of stretching his hands, if you can't see my hands, but stretching his hands out a bit as he's talking to this group he's with, as they are all meandering down towards wherever this novice hut might be. Something to keep in mind.
Okay.
The line continues. Ste'yn, you confirm for me, you and Viola, whether or not you two got separated in this few months' time, or if she clung to you like glue. I'll let you guys decide. I wasn't sure if it was definitive.
She clung to me like glue.
Beautiful. Ste'yn, as you two are approaching the line, you also come across one of the gentlemen at the front. Hardly a gentleman. All four of them look pretty kind of worn and tired. They're kind of sweaty and have this odor of I've been standing here a while about them. But the one you approach looks you up and down. You're probably about an inch taller than he is. And he grunts at you. Name?
Ste'yn,
Age?
24.
Occupation?
I'm here to fight for light and destroy the dark.
He looks at you as you say that. Again, kind of looks you up and down. Looks back at this parchment he's holding. Skills?
Healing, fighting, killing, burying.
Southeast to the novice hut. And he guides you in, or he motions you inside. And shortly behind you, Viola, as expected, he gives you the same. Name?
Viola Garden.
Age?
I'm 23.
Occupation?
I am a traveler fighter. I'm just kind of going from town to town.
Skills?
I'm a very adept fighter. I'm skilled with 2 weapons. I'm very strong. I'm pretty intelligent. You know, I've done my studies. I'd say that's probably the extent of my skills.
All right. Head southeast to the novice hut. Go on.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
And he kind of like scratches under his armpit while you walk in. As you bubbly catch up to Ste'yn, the further in you guys go, you do see a couple of little stands set up, little stalls set up. One of which you note has some people who are healing. They're someone who might be injured. They seem to be tending to one person or another. And you happen to notice someone, or a small group, 2 or 3 of them, who are in these white robes. And what catches your eye is a stone pendant that they are wearing. You seem to notice there might be a stone pendant with a little decorative rose in it as you are walking. And last but certainly not least, making your way up through the line, Snow, you reach, your line veers towards this particularly gnarly looking gentleman. Kind of greenish gray skin, teeth slightly tusked from his lower lip, looks down a good distance to you. Name?
Hello, my name is Snow. How are you doing? Well, I hope.
Age?
Sorry?
Age?
Oh, I'm 23.
Occupation?
I, good sir, am a bard.
As you say that, he looks down at you, and his eyes start to narrow. A what?
A bard. I entertain.
And he just... It's the most exasperated guffaw you have ever heard. Just a... Entertain! You entertain!
I mean,
Oh.
clearly I'm entertaining you right now. You're laughing. You're welcome.
Oh, we don't... What good is a bard around here? What good do you do? How do you... I've been here all day talking to people who wield hammers twice as big as you are.
And? That's great for them. But that is not my skill set.
Oh, you know what, little guy? I don't think we need your skill set around here. Go on. Go home. Get out of the
Perhaps
line.
Maybe you would like a demonstration.
No, I wouldn't. Get out of my line. You won't cut it here.
I think you could be surprised.
His eyes couldn't get any more narrow as he's glaring at you.
How about this? How about just one joke? If you don't like it, I'll leave.
Fine.
Did you hear about the mathematician who is afraid of negative numbers? He'll stop at nothing to avoid them. And I'm casting Tasha's hideous laughter on him.
Okay. Okay.
What is this joke?
It doesn't have to be a good joke. He just has to fail the save.
Go on.
It is a wisdom saving throw.
All right. Sure, guys. The first roll of the night goes to an NPC.
Seems par for the course.
Give me 1 second. I forgot I had roll 20. Open. Where did I put roll 20 though? Y'all, where did I put my tab? This is like having too many pages. I have too many windows. Bum, 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 bum.
No, if you can't find it, it could just be an automatic pass, you know?
Yeah,
It should be an automatic pass. Yeah, for sure. An automatic
Doesn't
pass.
seem like he's the most wise. Like,
I mean, he obviously can't see the skills Snow has to offer. Can't be that wise if he can't see those.
Watch, so
I
he has
wish-
a +7 on it.
But actually, he's a warlock with really high charisma and wisdom. Like, nah. All right, let's do a roll inside of roll 20. It'll be a generic roll. Roll 1d20.
If it gets a nat 20, you're kind of screwed, Snow.
I'll just go home, I guess.
Snow has been written off. He didn't make
Yuho, what did you do?
Oh my god!
For those of you playing along at home, this guard rolled a natural 20 plus 1.
Well, that's quite rude.
Hello, Johnny Crest. Welcome in. The first roll of the night goes to an NPC, and it's a nat 20. So,
Seems fake.
so as this deadpan, unless you'd like to attempt to match it or better.
Yes, actually, I will do better. I will cast Disguise Self and make myself look exactly like him, but even more unhappy.
You're welcome to. I don't know that you're gaining points with him, but you're welcome to go for it.
No, I feel like I've lost at this point. So.
Do you not have like teleportation blink or
So
something?
as he glares,
Well, I don't know what spells they are, but I don't know.
he glares down at you. And as you're looking, and in a moment of what you believe to be sheer brilliance, casting your spell, he's suddenly looking steadily up and up and up until he's looking eye to eye with himself. And he almost, you see a little twinge, almost of a smile, until it goes right back to a glare. And he just yells, "Get out of my line!"
Can any of us see this going on? Like if we
Or
turn around
hear
and
him.
look at the commotion?
I will allow you to roll a perception.
Perception?
I will allow you to roll a perception, just in case you guys got there sometime around the same time. But you guys did
Well,
arrive
I
separately.
didn't. Got a 6. I gave away my 20 to the guard.
But what if
Way to go.
I rolled a 20?
That's an 18.
Okay. Is anyone else rolling to see?
I'm rolling.
Oh,
It just
okay.
takes. Well, I don't see much of anything.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
but you are clung to stay in right now, though.
Just paying
That's
attention to my
true.
best friend.
So you start
It's a
to,
one-sided best friendship.
but it doesn't have to stay that way.
My
It's
chemical
staying
friendship.
that way.
So you the commotion does bring some attention from nearby people, and you happen to be not too terribly far ahead of your friend at the appointed time of arrival. And you start to turn around, wondering what could have caused all this noise. You start heading back to Pike, but you also notice someone else seems to be making a beeline in that direction. You stay and notice a female. She appears to be human. She is clad in this kind of blue leather armor. It's maybe dyed, the top is dyed a bit blue. Otherwise, it's your very generic kind of, there's whites and browns in this leather armor she's wearing over this blouse. Essentially, she looks like she could be combat ready. She has a dagger on one side, and you think you might have even seen another weapon on the other side as she kind of spun and made her way through. You notice in particular she has this pulled back long white hair. As she approaches, Snow, before you are able to start moving away under the direction of this quite curmudgeon-y guard, you hear someone speak, seemingly a lot more kindly than he did. She just says, "Is there a problem here?" The guard looks over at her. He's kind of taken aback a moment as he looks at her, and then goes right back to that same angry face. No problems. Just clearing the line. Don't need nonsense here. Bards don't need nonsense here. And she looks at you, Snow. Are you still in your guise?
No, I'll drop it at this point.
Okay. She looks at you, and she has these very kind eyes, but you also see that she very clearly looks battle ready in this armor. She looks at you, and she has a very small smile, but she nods in your direction, and then she looks back at the guard, and she says, "You know full well we have needs of all type here. There isn't only battle to do. You do know that, right? Or are you not prepared to be here?" And the guard eyes her again, turns his head and spits into the dirt. Looks back at you.
That's not very respectful of you, I shouldn't think.
He looks back at you again, spits back in the dirt again, like right by your feet, and says, "Novice hut, southeast. Go, for I change my mind."
Right away, good sir.
And the woman nods as you make your way, and you notice over your shoulder that she has a few more words for that guard, as you are making your way inside. And then you may notice that Ste'yn and Viola are not too far ahead of you, in fact.
Hello.
Hey,
You made it in, did you?
Just barely.
have you been? It's been a while since we've seen you.
Oh, seeing the sights, playing my tunes. How are you doing?
Wonderful. I've been hanging out with Ste'yn, and I'm starting to get to know her just a little bit, but I mean, Ste'yn, she's got her guard up.
Absolutely, and I'm sure she is just as emphatic about you as you are of her.
I like to think so.
You've made a grave mistake.
And as you guys continue traveling, as Ste'yn makes her point again, so you guys head inside, further inside of the township. So this steady trail of newcomers makes this obvious path that's heading southeast, and it's a relatively lively area. There are 2 signs that are near the gate. One is a job board, which you've come to recognize in a lot of these places, more built up or not. There's always some kind of posting. And the other is a map of the various districts in this expansive township. It can't officially be called a town. It is still in its guardianship state, but it is large. And you notice that you are, your little "you are here" X towards the beginning, towards the north side of it. The ground is mostly this compact earth. There's sparse scatterings of trees, some decorative flowers kind of along the stone walls that are blocking it off, small vendors for refreshments, weapons and arms repair, salves and healers, and as Ste'yn had noted, some of those acolytes who might be along with those vendors. It takes about 20 minutes or so of going through this district before it becomes more open, like a town square. There's additional vendors here. There's this beautiful garden that has both flowers, and it looks like it's also useful as far as vegetation, like vegetables. There are outdoor sparring tents, roped off areas where people are practicing, which Viola, as you take some note of sparring tents, other people who are fighting, showing off their prowess. And you do notice there is one person who's out there. You hear the clangs of steel meeting steel. You see someone out there practicing. This man who's in this incredibly fine plate mail armor. He's sparring with another soldier. He makes these swift blows, incredibly fast, incredibly accurate, with these 2 blades in his hand simultaneously. And as he makes one incredible strike, almost this X motion, smooth as butter, just swishing through the air, he suddenly drops them. In this one fell swoop, is now reaching behind his back and pulling out another weapon like it was nothing. And he makes this final swing against this sparring partner, with this 2-handed axe. He pulls it out as if it were as light as a cloud, to which his partner falls over from the momentum. But very quickly, and as you are just getting out of their sight, he's helping his sparring partner up. They're clapping it out. They're congratulating each other, noting each other. But he's a very skilled combatant, you notice. So the last thing you see, which is really the first thing that you guys see in this town square, is the jewel of this district. There's this large building that dominates the area. And that's where the onslaught of these newcomers are headed. So front and center, this building is 3 stories, decorative windows. Some are lit by sconces with flames of various colors. There are banners that are strung from corner to corner on these high roofing. And there's music and this joyful banter that's just streaming out from the front doors, which are held open. And there's a sign that's hanging overhead that reads, "The Wild Pike." So when you enter, it's a jovial atmosphere. It's full of patrons. It's as if this is a holiday. People are drinking and eating, chattering. They're applauding to this minstrel group that's playing. That's where you heard the music from. This lower area, very spacious, accommodating. These people who are acting as if they're regulars. Maybe they come here all the time, as well as some of these kind of rough-looking folks who have traveled like you have, maybe stopping for a quick drink. But they don't get to stop for long to enjoy this merriment, as there are guards who are out here as well, and they are ushering those newcomers along. All of you are just being ushered forward. So on the far side of this hall, through another set of doors, you enter this hallway. One side looks like it overlooks this central garden patch, various shrubs, herbs, vegetables, the like. And more guards mindlessly ushering you. It's like a cattle, just mindlessly ushering you forward. You go through a similar door at the end of the hallway, which is one of a few doors. The congregation of newcomers is forming in here. It's a large hall adorned with simple sconces, tables with this plain rustic linen, basic wooden chairs, portraits of various men and women hung between decorative swords and shields. Groups of travelers have split off at this point into various corners. They're chattering amongst themselves and kind of building this dull roar of incoherent sounds. And standing along the walls, near various doors, are more guards. Weapons tucked away, arms are crossed, eyes wandering listlessly. So time passes, more people enter. While you guys are waiting, there are a few women from inside who are going around with trays. They have drinks, some water, or whatever it is you might want to drink. They have little pouches. They're warm pouches. There's this really nice kind of nutty, sweet scent coming from them as they offer them to everyone who might want. They smile, they move along, and they kind of leave you to the rest of your wait. Everyone give me one more perception check. And we'll see if you guys note while you're waiting if you happen to spot each other. I know the three of you found each other. We'll see if you notice Beau.
Beau's not noticing you.
You don't have to. Beau's like, leave me
22.
alone. Okay.
You got a 22?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
11 and a 12.
She sees everything.
Well,
That is her curse.
I do think that Doug raises a good option here.
Oh.
I would like to attempt a pickpocket. And that could be when Ste'yn notices.
Sure. Who are you attempting to pickpocket while you wait in this
Um,
large crowd? Anyone in particular or just...
Who's somebody that looks like they are kind of like well equipped, like they've invested in what they're wearing?
There is that person you saw earlier.
Oh, with the gloves?
Yeah, he's very well decked out.
Yeah, but
He
I feel
seems
like
to
I
be
can't
very
pickpocket the gloves off of him. But I
No,
can
that's
go
true.
for the pockets.
You could.
Alright, so sleight of hand.
That will be a sleight of hand.
Alright, come on. What is this?
What are you doing? Oh my god! Remember that time? Remember that time David
you
gave
gonna play
away
with this
his
guy
20?
too?
Just a quick brush of his leg. So you find that human man, and you start to reach for him. And what I'll say is, you reach for where the pocket would be, and your hand just doesn't touch anything. It's very strange. Your hand doesn't touch anything. And then you quickly realize an illusion fades. And it is not a human standing there, but rather a kind of pockmarked, large nose, kind of greasy haired gnome standing there, who is in a very simple, basic kind of a leather armor, looks a bit little ratty. Now that you're closer, you notice it kind of smells a little. And where there was a pocket, a little pouch for some money that looked pretty hefty, was simply just a piece of his cloak where the illusion faded. But he doesn't seem to notice immediately that his illusion faded.
So he's just gonna kind of like pull his hand back like kind of casually and then turn around and see if he could scamper off before he says anything.
Despite the nat 1, I'll let you scamper off.
Alright.
As you're backing away, it's only then that he seems to realize, like, oh. And you hear this little squeak, and he kind of scurries away as his friends start to laugh at him, and he scurries into a corner and seems to be opening up a grimoire. And yes, Ste'yn, you did see that. That's where the nat 1 went. You get to hold on to that and use it how you please.
I just glare at him very harshly.
I mean, I still wouldn't. I didn't take notice of you. I don't think at this point. So he's still
That's
just
okay.
kind of okay.
I feel like it would burn in the back of your head, though. You would just know.
Yeah, something. You get this
Somewhere
nasty
she is
feeling in your gut.
displeased.
You get this nasty feeling. You're just like, Ste'yn? Oh. We'll have a. You're disturbed by it. We'll have your if you roll anything again in the next hour, it'll be at disadvantage.
I don't need any more disadvantages.
Nat 1.
Oh,
I was
haven't
told I was
gotten-
too kind as a DM.
I haven't gotten about. That seems like a very opposite. I'd rather get punched in the face.
Oh, we'll see what happens. So, as you guys are waiting, you finally hear the doors from the hall close a big resounding shut. Rumbling of voices slowly dies away as in front of you, or on the opposite side of where you entered, a leather-clad arm slowly rises, and there's a woman who steps up onto one of the chairs. There's chairs and tables that are kind of pushed off to the side, only a few being used, but otherwise they were cleared to make room. So you see this woman step up onto the table. There is one of the guards that quickly goes beside her, takes her other hand, as if to help balance her. She pauses for a moment and then finishes stepping up onto a table to give herself some height. She has tan skin, pulled back white hair, slightly tinted blue leather armor. Seems prepared for combat, as she has a dagger on one hip and a pistol on the other. She looks across the gathering and she says, "Good afternoon, travelers, and welcome to our township. I'm Nora Isalin, head of the Novice, captain of the Novice. That could well be you, but not yet. There are a lot of misconceptions about what it means to enter these gates, to become a warden for light. For instance, you may already presume that you are in fact a warden, that you've volunteered and now your position is signed and sealed." And as she says that, you hear some snickering among the crowd. You hear one person kind of laughing in her direction. You hear another that actually vocalizes, "Yeah, more qualified than that rodent." And they're just chuckling to themselves. Snow. I know we're doing a lot of perception, but we're doing a lot of looking. Give me a quick perception roll. You clearly have seen this woman before.
Yes. Not great. 11.
Okay. You hear the guffawing and this laughing that's pointed in her direction. And you look back at her and she doesn't speak immediately after that, and it was loud enough that plenty of people probably could hear. She doesn't start speaking immediately. There's a short pause, and then she continues. "Well, you would be wrong. No day here is certain. No day is a guarantee. My job, however, is to assure that at least some of you kittens are prepared to take the next steps and go from novice, hardly even an adventurer, to a full warden under the watchful eye of our captain of the wardens, Sir Amral Haste. But you have some years' time to prove that worth, and you may yet be gone before that. However, I wish to assure you that while you are here, while you fight through your trials and help grow our township, you will be under my care. You will be fed, you will be clothed as is appropriate, you will be sheltered. At the very least, you have a bunk and roof, so long as you are not on assignment. When you are, your protection is your very metal, your wits, your skill. It will be tested. And at any point that you wish to leave, the peace gate through which you arrived is open. However, actions have consequences, mind you. That being said, your first assignment begins tonight. You will return here to the Wild Pike, to this hall, at sunset, and you will be given your task. Don't be late. I'll see you here tonight. And without asking for any question or clarification, she again begins to step down from the table, and that same guard quickly stands beside her, holds out a hand. She hesitates a moment before taking his hand and letting him help her down from the table to the chair to the floor. And they begin conversing softly as other guards clang their steel, bat against the walls, getting your attention. Outside, novices! One screams. Another one yells, only within the Peace District. Stay within your district. Another yelling, you're dismissed. Dismissed. The doors open again, and the crowd starts moving back towards that tavern area. So you've been given a little bit of free time, simply told that you needed to come back by sunset to the Great Hall where you were in. But otherwise, the time is yours. Is there anything in particular anyone wanted to do? You have probably another 5 or so hours.
So wait, did I realize that they're there? I was unclear on that.
If the
Am I
others...
still off on my own currently?
Where was your perception for that one? You've not been rolling well, so I'm assuming no.
My perception is bad. Ste'yn was good, but I don't think she actually came to get me.
I don't think so either.
She was just disappointed in me.
She's just...
As people start filtering out, she's gonna call for you.
Okay.
Beau?
Hey!
He's suddenly right behind you.
Just appears.
He's gonna look over and move her. I see you still doing that, Snow. Why are you all here?
I presume it's the same reason you're here.
Oh. Okay. Well, what are you doing in the meantime here? Before sundown? You know, we got some time to kill.
You cannot kill time. Time is a construct.
Oh, Stan, how I missed you. Viola, Snow, what are you guys up to while we're here?
Wouldn't mind going back to the sparring area and seeing what everybody's up to, seeing if I can find somebody to spar with.
Okay.
I would love to join and watch that, but first I would like to go have a word with that woman who just gave us such a rousing speech.
You know her?
We'll see.
You... What do you mean by we'll see? You know or you don't?
I already turned around and started walking towards her.
Good luck!
Beau would like to sneak behind him.
Ste'yn's going to reach out and grab his shoulder and keep him from following.
Beau,
Ste'yn.
are you determined or would you like to contest her strength?
I won't contest her strength.
You will?
No, I won't.
Oh.
I know that they're stronger than me.
And sit down.
Leave him be. You've caused enough trouble, or nearly enough trouble today, haven't you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I won't ruin your illusion.
Oh, did you see that?
See what?
Nothing. Why are you laughing?
So, Snow is heading towards Nora. Viola, you're heading to the sparring.
Mm-hmm.
Beau and Ste'yn, did you have somewhere particular you wanted to be, or were you simply kind of passing the time as it went?
You said that there were shops there?
They're very basic, but from what you noticed on...
so like nothing, like equipment-wise that would be of interest, really?
If you go back and look at kind of the township's directory of sorts, within what's known as the Peace District, where you guys are, you see a lot of very basic things. There's healing areas, very simple items, and simple mending and repair. Things
Does
like
that mean that there's better shops outside the Peace District?
There may yet be.
Maybe you can
Any
slide
that
a hand
stand
so
out?
well there too.
When you look at the sign, the signage is only so large in that you've seen so far from like up front. It only really shows this district. Did you want to look around this kind of unfamiliar area for information? Did you want to ask someone?
I'll try asking somebody first, I guess, because looking around hasn't been very fruitful for me tonight.
Rolling is not fun. There are guards that you can ask, the ones who have been ushering you around. There are folks back in the tavern area.
I will start with a folk before going to a guard, because they have not been kind.
Fair.
Alright.
Okay.
So, I guess, excuse me, do you know if there's any other better shops, maybe outside this zone?
Are you just asking someone in the tavern? Just
Yeah, somebody else.
sure. Let's say you approached a maybe the bartender himself. One of the
That works, the bartender.
Yeah, one of the bartenders themselves. There's a few of them going back and forth. You come across one who's just finished dropping a pint of ale down for someone, looks to you, is about to ask for what your choice is. It's a spry-looking human, and you ask him. He says, well, what kind of shops are you looking for?
I'm looking for anything that might sell magical equipment.
No, not around here. You're not going to find it. Where were you?
Not around here, like this lower district, or not around this entire settlement?
Oh, well, I mean, there's definitely something further in. You'd know that, wouldn't you? Are you not from around here?
You could say that. Now, what would be the name of that shop?
Well, if you're looking to leave the Peace District, give me a moment. If you're looking to leave the Peace District, and if you wanted to head further south, you might make it. Oh, he kind of glances the window, sees, as if looking to see where the sun is, looks back at you. Well, if you've got a few hours, you might be able to head down to the Raleigh District and back. In the Raleigh District, there's the Not Mundane Arcane. That's one of my favorite shops.
Not Mundane Arcane.
That's one of my favorites. I like that one a lot.
That's one of your favorite. Not Mundane Arcade. Okay, I'm
but
just trying
that's down
to
in
get
the Raleigh
my,
District.
Sticky notes here. Mundane Arcane.
Not Mundane Arcane.
Now, this is something that I might already know, but just to double check, is there some sort of identification requirement between going to and from sections?
Are you asking him?
Yes.
Okay. He looks at you. He kind of laughs as he reaches underneath and starts pouring another a beverage into a stein he grabs, and he puts it down in front of you and he says, "No. Here you go. Have a good trip."
Oh. Okay. Now this is me asking the TM.
Yes.
Based off of what he said, how much time do I have? Do I have enough time to get there and back, or is it just like not a good time to go right now?
Based on what he said, he's saying it might take you a few hours between reaching the Raleigh District, finding the shop, looking around for what you might want. He doesn't quite know what you're looking for exactly, so if you're just kind of perusing, that's more time, plus the time to get back here. If you're coming back, he can't assume, obviously, but he's saying it might take you a few hours to go on a little shopping trip.
So, and we only have like what, an hour and a half or something like that?
You probably got like 4 or 5 hours.
Oh. Hey, Ste'yn? You wanna go on a little excursion?
No,
Well, you didn't even know where it is yet.
they told us to stay here.
Okay, and you're just gonna kind of take
I am
that
here to
and
fight
run
for the light and to vanquish the dark. If you are here for a different purpose, perhaps you should leave.
Well, I'm not saying it's for a different purpose, but fighting for the light surely would go better with some equipment improvements. He's eyeballing her stuff.
You want to go, it's taking your own risk of not getting back here in time.
All right, I'll wait. So how was traveling with Viola?
Are you going to be as chatty as she is?
As you guys
Oh.
have your conversation, which is going swimmingly. Snow, before you head out of that great hall, you kind of fight the crowd a little bit going against you, heading towards the opposite side of the... Pardon me, excuse me. Heading to the opposite side of that great hall. You see Nora. She is speaking in hushed tones with that guard who had assisted her from the table. And you see them heading, slowly making their way towards one of those other doors in the room.
All right, I would like to catch up with her before they exit.
Easy enough. They don't notice you immediately.
Hello. Sorry if I'm bothering you, but I was hoping to actually be able to take a moment to thank you for what you did back there.
And she finally, she turns kind of surprised. Oh, it's our bard. Welcome. You've made it this far.
Only with your help, madam, for which I am very grateful. My name is Snow. Pleasure to meet you.
Snow. White like your hair.
That is correct, yes.
A pleasure. And she holds out her hand to shake. Nori
Thank you.
Solin.
Pleasure is all mine. So, I have to ask, in a place that is so rough, what made you decide to be kind?
She laughs a little, but she looks away for a moment, as if thinking, and then looks back to you. Well, I suppose kindness may be all we have at sometimes. And it's not always easy to hold on to, not in these depths. But, so long as you remember what you're fighting for, why you're here, well, someone has to.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, don't get me wrong. If you wind up on the wrong side of any one of these guards, there won't always be someone to protect you. You will have worth to prove. It can't all be kindness. That isn't how life works.
Indeed, that would make a very boring story if it was quite so easy all the time, wouldn't it?
Sometimes I crave boring.
Well, I hope you find a little bit more kindness in your day. I hope someone shares it with you to make your story a little bit more boring from time to time.
That's a very kind wish. You as well, Snow.
He bows, and I shan't keep you any longer. May your evening be delightful.
Well, yours as well. Don't be late, or yours will be much less delightful.
and he will go find the others.
All right. And when you do leave, should you look back, she and the guard do speak again briefly before exiting through one of those back doors. Viola, you make your way outside, back through this very large tavern, very rowdy, very noisy. And when you get back out to the town square, it's almost as if everything is muted for how much quieter it is out there. But you do hear more people, or you do hear more sounds of steel clashing, more sounds of the thuds of hitting wooden targets versus metal targets. And you make your way back to that sparring area. There is a full kind of sparring booth, like a tent, and then there is an outdoor where there are poles, there are dummies that are set up. What would you like to do there?
I'll go into the tent.
Okay. You go in, and you see a group standing there. It's a few men who are inside, kind of clustered in one area. They seem to be having a little conversation. They are all holding weapons of some kind, whether it's sword or axe, in decent armor, decent looking steel armor. You approach them. They turn around as you're approaching. One of them, you note, is the sparring partner of that earlier fighter in the very illustrious armor. You see him standing there. He kind of eyes you.
Hello, how's it going, guys?
Well enough. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to kind of get into the action. Just got here earlier. I saw your fight earlier. Well, I guess not a fight, but I saw you sparring with that other gentleman earlier. Have you fought with him much before?
The man who fought with him starts to answer. The other two start kind of, they look at each other kind of chuckling a little to themselves. The man who addressed you looks back at them with a glare, looks back at you. He's one of my favorite sparring partners. One day I'll beat him. I will. I'm ready. One day. But he always manages to get the upper hand.
Do you know much about him?
Oh, sure. He's a good friend of mine. We've gone on a number of assignments together. You said you just got here earlier today?
Mm-hmm.
A novice.
Yeah, I don't love that title because I'm a pretty adept fighter. I don't really feel like it's fitting to my skill level, but I mean, you got to go through the motions and get to where you need to be.
That's a good outlook, but you'll have to accept certain things are just fact. A novice is a novice. If you wield a blade, it doesn't mean that you are an expert at wielding a blade.
Well, would you like to get in the ring and see how good I am at wielding a blade?
The others behind him start to kind of chuckle again. The man throws a look back at them, looks back at you. I don't think you have time to recover from the wounds you'd get.
Well, if you're so confident, let's just give it a roll and see.
He kind of straightens himself up and he says, I don't think you understand. Look, you look very capable. Your armor, exquisite. I think I've only seen such fine armor probably on Storkham himself, but I don't think this is a fight you want to get into. You have plenty of time to prove yourself. Look, I was a novice myself, and I come from a family of fighters. We are excellent fighters. Both of my parents, purgers, fantastic at it. Brothers, adventurers, didn't need the purger life, didn't need to deal in the dark. They say it's poison. I'm not surprised. But we all have to start as novices. You just accept your place.
Well, funnily enough, my parents are both purgers as well. They trained me pretty well. I guess, do you have any suggestions of sparring partners that would maybe be better suited to my skill level, as you say it?
You know, I might. And he puts an arm around your shoulder and he starts guiding you outside of the tent. You guys go back out into the open air and he turns and starts leading you towards the roped off area. And yeah, there are some benches there. There's a couple of other people who are sitting down. They've got towels. They're kind of dabbing themselves. Some are doffing armor that they were previously wearing. And he says, I know exactly who, actually. He's down in the Raleigh district. But he often comes up here because of people exactly like you. People who are ready to prove themselves, that they're not quite the novices that, well, the captain might have to coddle. What do you fight with?
I favor 2 short swords, but I'm adept at many weapons.
Short swords. Classic. All right. Wait here. I think you're going to like this partner.
Okay.
He and the other two step away from the sparring tent. He offered you a seat. So you stand beside this roped off area. The ones who were dabbing themselves off with their towels finish up there, grab up their belongings and step away.
Have I rejoined them at this point?
Depending on where you went, you might have spotted. If you pass back through the tavern area, Ste'yn and Beau were in there, and Viola's outside. But you would have time because it was a short conversation.
Okay.
Viola, probably about 30 minutes goes by. No one approaches you.
Did he just leave me hanging high and dry?
No one's there. A few more people come through. They don't acknowledge you. They start practicing with some of the dummies. Someone else goes into the tent, but no one acknowledges you.
I guess I look around and see if I can find anybody. Well, I want to see if I can. Are any of the guys that he was with earlier around there?
Nope.
Well,
if it's been 30 minutes, then I think Beau would have eventually spotted her, I want to say, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah, if you guys had left the tavern area, the sparring area is essentially across the other side of the town square from the Wild Pike.
But Ste'yn didn't exactly seem like she wanted me to stay in, so I walked out.
Fair enough. You might have spotted if you had seen her. If you didn't go up to her eventually or immediately went somewhere else and came back, she probably would still be sitting there.
Okay, Beau's gonna approach. Viola, what are you doing on the ground?
Well, I met this man earlier. So when we were coming in, I saw a couple of guys sparring together, and one of them was a very adept fighter. And I spoke with his partner, and I was trying to see if he wanted to spar with me. And he said that my skill level was not high enough for him. So he said he had a partner in mind for me. And so he went to go get that person, and I'm just waiting for them to come back.
How long ago was that?
It's been a while. It's been like 30 minutes. I'm kind of wondering if maybe he got lost, or maybe he just can't find the guy that he was trying to find. So maybe he's trying to find somebody else.
Yeah. maybe he chickened out. Might not be coming.
That
You
could
might-
be true.
You might.
I am very intimidating.
Yes. You might want to maybe think about asking somebody else if you want to do this thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I look around and see if there's anybody to spar with
I'll
around.
look around with her and try and help her to find a partner.
And if she doesn't find anyone, I'll do it.
You ask around, and there are people who, most of the people are either hesitant in that they already have a partner that they're sparring with, or they just say they'd rather do this one alone today, or they get one look at you, your stature being some well over 6 foot, and immediately say that they'd rather keep their limbs intact and decide to pass. But if Snow is willing to spar with you, he'd be welcome to.
Yeah, Snow will see like how disappointed she is, and he wants to cheer her up, so he will volunteer.
Well, Viola, since this is like a military situation, you could just draw your blade and try and start it that way organically, because they should be ready for anything. And if they aren't, then they are gonna get into some mighty fine trouble. So if you go in there swords out and you just take them down, then they probably weren't ready.
I will say,
It's a
Ste'yn at some
fantastic way to
point
get
came out
kicked
to
out.
find Viola, and she walked up just as Beau was saying that.
You always catch him at the perfect moment.
Well,
think
I
you
don't
could
want to be
probably not
rude.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm misreading the situation.
I'd rather follow the rules of engagement. I don't want to take anybody off guard and
Okay.
make any enemies on the first day.
That also sounds fair. I admit, my approach might have been a bit rash.
Seems like most of your approaches are rash. Might be an
Oh.
issue.
You think so, Ste'yn?
I said so.
No, are you sure you want to spar?
Absolutely, and I draw a rapier.
Okay, I draw out both of my short swords.
And
Ste'yn, you want to make a bet?
I don't gamble.
Ste'yn, what do you do?
I believe she buries people, and I think that's the extent that she goes to.
Okay.
But anyway, Viola, you look quite spectacular with your blades. Whenever you are ready, and I'm gonna give her inspiration.
You're giving her.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
we
that
can
is
do
a,
this two ways.
D6.
We can do this two ways. We can do an actual initiative and have you two throw a couple of rounds. Or we can have a kind of summation roll of it. I want to make sure. Hey! Oh my goodness gracious. Thank you so much for the sub. 20 months. Thank you so much. We can do kind of a summation roll between you two.
I'm
I
fine
mean,
with that.
For Snow, it's literally just a performance on
Sure.
his end. He is going to make use of minor illusion to like make it look a lot more dramatic, and like there's gonna be like sparks every time she connects with his rapier and stuff like that.
Okay, so let's do this. Viola, we're going to have you roll. Hang on one second. Here you are, my dear. We're going to have you roll. Did I not update? Guys, everything's wonderful. It's perfect. Don't worry about it. We'll have you roll your attack. Right? It won't be a matter of initiative. He's essentially giving you the initiative. We'll have you roll whichever attack you'd like. And Snow, I'm going to have you roll a performance check. Okay.
I'm an 8.
You can add a d6 to that.
Add a
Yeah.
d6 to it.
How do I do that?
You just roll the d6 on the.
There, I found it.
Yeah.
And we'll have to figure out how to connect you to roll 20.
12.
Again. So a 12 total.
Mm-hmm.
Would a 12 hit your AC, Snow?
No.
Ah, I see.
But I'm
So
also not trying to beat her, so.
no, I know, I know.
You can make the illusion make it look like she hit you.
So
Exactly.
you two begin. So very kindly, very generously, you two begin sparring, or you allow her to spar with you. Viola perhaps is a little hesitant that going up against you was not her original intention. She wants to make sure she's not hurting you, so her strikes aren't quite hitting. So she's not getting the full effect of a proper sparring. It's a little disappointing for her. However, your performance of making it look dazzling, you adding sparks, adding sounds, even making it kind of echo throughout that entire town square, actually starts to draw some people's attention. And the fight goes on. You two are going back and forth. You're kind of mimicking her stride for a proper stance, insofar as you can. And by
I
the
also
end,
use disguise self to make me look like really sweaty and like out of breath and stuff.
you need what's the reverse of prestidigitation? So by the end of your back and forth, and you'll go for as long as she's willing to go, you've drawn a small crowd kind of around you, who, when you are done, some begin to kind of applaud, and some are kind of whooping and cheering, throwing compliments at the warrior, the great giant warrior, and her her brave assistant to stand against her, to hold his own, and it starts this little rally around you guys.
With the rally, can Beau seize the opportunity to start a bidding?
Okay, I thought you were gonna
Give me a
pickpocket
charisma
someone
check.
again, and I was like, no.
Beau,
No.
give me charisma.
I mean, maybe
No,
third time's a charm.
Just charisma?
Just straight charisma.
Alright. Slightly better. It's an 11.
11. Of the people who are up front and really close, and like, it's as if they can feel the sweat coming off of Viola as she's going back and forth, and the fake sweat coming off of Snow as he's going back and forth, and you start to cheer them on to, like, yeah, what have you got? How much you got on the little guy? How much you got on her? And you're able to pull some coin from them. A little bit. It's mainly just copper pieces, but they've got a little something to throw your way. And by the time you guys are done there, you do have you've got a handful of fans and a handful of folks who are kind of watching you, and they're not as pleased, but they don't say anything to you. They just kind of are begrudgingly watching. But mainly you got yourself a little fan club there.
Yeah.
Ste'yn, was there something specific that you wanted to do in this free time? I think I've gotten to everyone to do a little something.
No.
Okay.
She just wants to stay close to where she's supposed to be and not mess that up.
Okay. So I will say, just so we have an opportunity. Well, your DM is watching the time. So I will say then, while this sparring is going on, you're kind of just witnessing and watching, Ste'yn. People are going back and forth. You do see some people coming from further south. People who don't look to be as new, maybe. They look tired. They look worn. They don't look as worn as the ones who are travel tired, like you guys may have been. One such type is a man. We'll say he's a halfling. he has, excuse me, I'm sorry. He has his weapon on his back. His clothing is kind of tattered. And you see some definitive scratching on his face, bruising. He's slightly hobbling as one person is helping him. And another one is standing behind him. She is also in acolyte robes. Her hands are pressed together. Her eyes are mostly shut, but she seems to be following well enough behind them. And she seems to be mumbling to herself, probably casting a spell. The man, for what his injuries looks like he ought to be in a lot more pain, maybe not even capable of walking the way he is. But he is moving, potentially with thanks to her. And you get this kind of sense about you. Can you please roll for me? Can you please roll for me? Let's make this a wisdom check.
Just straight wisdom?
Straight wisdom.
I'm not very wise today.
Today is not the day. Man, you should have just had
a low roll.
You should have just had Yuha say, "What if she rolled a 20?"
She rolled low last time. It was just only for nature. Everything else she was high on.
Doesn't work. You watch them pass. Just another one of those moments of watching someone kind of similarly tread that line of life and death, where he could have been, should he have been in such a position. Did he earn such a position as he was in? The acolyte looks to you for a moment, and you get kind of a cold, strange sense that kind of starts in your heart and then kind of goes up towards your head, and there's just like a kind of cold sense along the top of your head. And almost as quickly as it started, it stops. And they continue on, ignoring the crowds, ignoring the hooting and hollering, and they make their way out of the town square. So, the rest of the afternoon passes, unless someone has something specific.
Well, I was thinking about asking the group something if they've all calmed down.
Sure.
So you guys decided to come here. Do you know much about these kind of places? And anyone?
I know a lot about a lot of things, but not about this.
But not about this. Okay.
Nope.
Ste'yn.
I'm not familiar in depth with this sort of thing, this sort of arrangement, but it
See.
seems fairly standard.
Yeah, I mean, it seems mostly standard. Now, from what I've gathered before coming here, is two things of note. Though I feel like Ste'yn will be fine with both of these already, but it might be good for the two of y'all to hear. Is don't be overly trusting of people in this city or town, settlement, whatever you want to call it, and keep your weapons on you at night. Don't drop your guard when you go to bed.
Words are the best weapons, and I am never without them.
Okay, but maybe also bring the pointy sword you got there. Don't sleep with it now, but like have it nearby. Make a note of the exits, you know. I don't know. Ste'yn, do you go on like standby at night?
I'm confused by that question.
Well, I mean, I'm not super familiar with Warforged things, but is it like
What
standby?
did you just call me?
Are you not a warforged thing? I don't know if you call them people exactly, because they're just armors, but is that not what you are?
No, it is not. That is highly offensive.
Okay, well, sorry, but you're always walking around with about 5 pounds, well, 50 pounds of armor. No one's seen your
Because,
face.
like you said, you must always be protected and always be ready for
Okay.
someone to come and fight. You never
Okay,
know
well,
when the darkness is going
Viola,
to
have you seen her out of her armor? You've been with her for months now.
I haven't, but I know she's a person.
You see,
I
I'm
can
just
tell.
saying. I'm just saying, it's not a far off conclusion to think that you might have been a warforged.
I'm gonna put a
Okay.
hand on his shoulder. Beau, I'm going to tell you something that may not be easy for you to hear, but the key. This is key when you're trying to communicate with someone, especially for someone you don't know very well. A really good thing to do is two things. One, think before you speak, and two, not be offensive. It'll serve you well.
I don't
I
think
give
he's
him a pat
capable
on the
of
back.
either of those.
Is that offensive to ask somebody that?
Well,
dare
you
to-
did imply that she might not be a person, and that's kind of rude.
I mean, they got spirit or something. I don't know the science.
I
behind it.
assure you, I am
This is
flesh.
where you just stop.
Ste'yn holds up her hands and slowly takes off one of her gloves.
Yes.
I know.
Wait, so do we? What
Flesh
tone is her skin?
and bone.
What tone is her skin?
Pale.
Okay,
I
I
mean,
see.
she doesn't get much sun, so.
I mean, I yield. It's okay. I'm sorry. Didn't mean offense.
You need more proof my fist can meet your face.
Okay, I feel like we're going a bit far now.
I'm afraid
She
this
puts
is a
the glove
grave
back
you dug yourself.
Oh, well,
He
she
looks
likes
over at
graves.
Ste'yn to see if she caught what he said.
Ste'yn chuckles slightly.
Hey!
Okay, so fair enough. You sleep then.
Enough.
Okay. Then never mind. That plan's out the window. But, alright, that's good to know.
Do you need someone to guard you while you sleep?
No, I'm just saying that if you did have a standby function, but we realized you don't like that now. It wouldn't go amiss, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying for me specifically, but, maybe, like, by the door. But it doesn't matter. It's not an option now.
Right.
Right.
Was there more you needed
Protection
to?
is a grave matter.
Did you want to dig that hole any deeper, Beau?
I think Beau is fine with not digging it deeper.
Beau's warning goes across as probably well as it ought to have. And the afternoon passes. Don't let me rush you if there is something else you wanted to do. If not, you guys make your way back inside of the Wild Pike, back down that hallway, back into the Great Hall. The crowd is so dispersed at this point. By the time you get there are some folks who are already there. A much smaller amount of people than was all gathered earlier. As you guys are waiting about, just about on time, you hear the doors slam shut again. And in the room is maybe a quarter of the people who were there earlier. Guards stand in front of the door, again, kind of lazily leaning back, one leaning on his pike, on his spear, just waiting for instruction. And you start to hear a knocking on the door, and then a pounding, and you start to hear some more commotion out there. But the guards do not react. They simply stand there. And you, in a few minutes, as that sound starts to die down, the door on the opposite side of the room opens again, and Nora returns. One of the guards is with her, he again, he kind of stomps his own spear for attention as she raises her hand again and looks about at everyone who's in there. And she says, "Welcome back. Very good. Right on time. I see not everyone heeded my words. It's a shame. I'm sure there were great skill sets in that group. But time is of the essence, I must say. Follow me, if you will." She turns around, quick about face, and she goes into a different one of those doors on the far wall. Leads you all back. You're kind of taken you're kind of taken in small groups into this hallway. It's much smaller than the first, and there's one door at the end. You guys get there. You're let in with 5 other people, and you walk into a small room. It holds. It's not tiny. It's probably the size of a decent a little dining hall. There are 9 chairs in this room, towards the center, creating a little box. Just 3 rows of 3. And she invites you all inside, stops the others from approaching. It's just 9 of you in that room. It's you and a handful of others. She gestures towards the chairs. Have a seat. You all sit? Okay. Everyone takes their seat, and she says, "Not every fight you have is going to be against some wild beast bearing its fangs, drawing your blood." And as she finishes that, one of the other guards in the room snaps his fingers. And immediately, while you guys are sitting, instantly becoming visible are these long vines that immediately wrap around your ankles, crawl up your legs, tie around your waist, at your arms, pinning you to the chair. She doesn't react, Nora. She looks at everyone, the 9 of you, in your chairs, and she just says, "When you stand up, you may leave. Begin." And that is where we will end our first session.
What do we start with? Some strength goals? My weakest stat.
So,
There are more ways than just
Smarter.
strength.
what was that?
You could think of some other ways than just pure strength to get out of this.
Yeah, well, I can't lockpick them now, can I?
What else am I good
I mean,
for?
have you looked at what your
Maybe we
thieves
should
tool
fix our
has?
No.
I will
Never
say, and I will say, you were invited to enter with whatever it was you had on you. If you wanted to bring your weapons, you could. You are fully equipped however you need.
Oh,
to
then
be
I do have a
equipped.
dagger. Okay.
Sure, you sure do. But I appreciate you guys sticking with us through some technical difficulties. I really do appreciate that. We will be back here in 2 weeks' time for our next adventure, our next session. I want to thank all of my players who are phenomenal, and thank you for rolling with those punches, because oh my goodness gracious, I am not tech savvy. But we made it work.
Yeah.
Made it in the end.
Yeah, and Discord seems to be functional, so as long as we just
Yeah.
start off with this now,
I guess
Mhm.
I
this is
think
what
we'll
we
have
do.
a smooth time with it next time.
We tried to be fancy. No need to be fancy. Quick shout out, and we'll make this all nice and pretty and official in the future. Quick shout out to You Hate to See It, who streams here on Twitch. You can find Catherine on Twitter, as well as Josh on Twitter. I think Kassie is where she wants to be, but does occasionally join us on P Tony But Different for Clock Tower, Blood on the Clock Tower, which is really fun. And thank you to all of you guys for hanging out with us tonight. The adventure continues in 2 weeks. I really appreciate y'all hanging out. Thank you so much.